Hello everyone, this is ZvZ here, and I'm back with some more Starcraft 2 action. This time it is yet another continuation of a TLO series. Spawning up on the top right side is going to be TT's Pig. Once again, he is the Australian player, I believe, currently living in Sydney, having a lot of success in those online cups that do take place almost on a daily basis at this point. But that is a great place to practice. It does give you a tournament format to play on. Up on the top right side is going to be Liquid TLO, who has had his ups and his downs, but recently has been playing quite well in the pool play of the One Nation of Gamers tournament. I believe this is their second one. There's quite a bit of moolah on the line for this tournament. And the map is going to be Shakura's Plateau. Again, it is a ZvZ. If you missed last game, definitely go check it out. There was quite the interesting strategy, I would say, by TLO in that game. Don't want to spoil it. Yes, I do. It was a Nidus Worm. Actually managing to make that one work. The timing of it was brilliant. And also the thought process behind it was, okay, I can afford to spend a little extra money on this because I can attack multiple locations at once. But part of it was Pig's fault. First, when he saw the first Nidus Worm, he should have been able to deny that second Nidus Worm. And you got to remember that each time you plant a Nidus Worm, it does cost money. So if you're killing off Nidus Worms here and there with a couple of Zerglings, then that game would have looked completely different. That's one of those builds where it makes TLO look like a genius. But if both of those Nidus Worms got killed before those units were able to travel through there, there's two main things. Number one, he would have invested a lot of larvae and a lot of money into that army supply and attack timing. And also, he would have invested a lot of money into those Nidus Worms. And if, you know, those Nidus Worms get killed, then, I mean, that fun train, man, it comes to a screeching halt. But really, TLO riding the fun train to a 1-0 victory town. But right now, we do have the expansion timings virtually identical. The spawning pool is going to be going down. Even the drone timing, very similar here. So we do have more of a macro-oriented build here out of both of these players. So that's going to be very good for them. That's going to be very good for us as well, simply because we could potentially see a longer ZvZ than we saw in the last game. But I thought it was going to be a much longer game last game because it was 3 base on 3 base, and Pig was able to deny that one expansion, but TLO immediately returned the favor, killing off an already completed hatchery. The Overlord kind of checking out over here. I want to talk like an Overlord, but I totally did it in the last game. I have to save everyone the humiliation of having to have your parents walk in to sounds like... It's like, no, Mom, I swear I'm just watching Husky Starcraft. And then she blocks it in the router, and you can never visit my website again. But that's fine, as we do have the spawning pool is now completed. Double Queen on the way across the sky, etc. I need to stop saying that word because everyone hates me for it. And 2 Zerglings on the way now. It looks like Pig is going to go for those lings, as TLO feeling pretty content with the more macro-oriented play. And you can see that Pig, a slight variation here, decides to transfer the drones right away, while TLO does take his little bit of time with that. And I think it's mathematically been proven that you don't need to transfer over that many drones in this matchup, at least as ZerG going for that early even expansion. I may be mistaken, but it just seems to me that you don't need to do that. Instead, rally the drones down here. And this is something that I've talked about in the past, so a lot of you have probably heard this, but just to reiterate, is that some players, I think Idra may still do this, is when that hatchery is done, he'll send 5 drones and then lose mining time at 5 drones at once. Or what you'll see some players do is send no drones, and then you lose that same mining time spread out over time. So when your drones are hatching 1 or 2 at a time, those are the drones that are transferring, not all 5 at once. And StarCraft is really a game of the snowball effect, where everything that happens in the early game is very noticeable in the late game. More and more noticeable the longer the game goes on, until it reaches this crazy time where it's like the entire map is mined out, and then that doesn't really matter. But that rarely happens, and you can see TLO is still rallying down there. And it does look like, though, the amount of income is favoring our red Zerg. Nope, now it's favoring TLO, as he does have slightly better saturation. They are kind of swapping places back and forth. Now we do have Zergling speed on the way. The only difference is that Pig did get his a little bit earlier, and his Zergling inside the base will be able to scout around with that Zergling speed. This is going to be a huge boost to how this game is going to play out. Being able to scout at this point in the game is not that common. I mean, Zerg players a lot of times will try and run Lings by, but to actually get that Ling up in the base is uncommon. He is going to scout around, see exactly what's going on, and will be able to scout down at the natural. No decides to instead turn around and engage. 1 HP remaining on this poor little guy as he's going to run around. Is he going to spot the Baneling nest? No, he's not. The Baneling nest is located down here, but the Overlord may have spotted it. No, it hasn't. So he doesn't know that there's banelings on the way for sure, but he himself does have a baneling nest as well. We do have 6 drones on the way now for Pig. What's TLO up to? He is going to be behind in drones here by quite a big deal, as TLO's looking to gear up for a potential attack. He does have 14 lings on the way. Why is this Zergling still alive? And down it goes, but that's got to be frustrating for TLO, because that Zergling saw that the timing of the Zergling speed was so late that it's got to eliminate a couple of potential builds that TLO can really do at this stage of the game. Now we do see a Spire on the way for the Zerg player Pig. Always an interesting choice, those Mutalisks in ZvZ. It does look like an early third here, though, for TLO. So the Mutalisk may be his best bet, because, look, if he flies into the base, he can actually harass the mineral line from the high ground, killing off those drones, and then immediately fly up here to this location as well. And if we do not see an infestation pit going down for TLO, if we do not see a Spire going down for TLO, then he is going to be in a lot of trouble. He's going to decide to go for a Baneling bust here. He does have a substantial supply lead. Here we go. Can he get any decent hits? He absolutely needs to. And no, he can. Oh, that was a crazy hit right there. And he could kill off these Zerglings as well. Pig needs to micro here like a champ. Can he actually do it? So far, a lot of drones going down, but then all the Zerglings get cleared out. That could have gone way, way better for TLO. Actually, that's way worse for TLO than I originally thought. Not only is he behind on the units lost, but he committed a lot to that attack. The workers is a 10 supply difference on the workers alone. So it does look like, no, TLO does have a substantial supply lead, but definitely a worker disadvantage. With mutas on the way, this game instantly got very, very awkward, because the Spinecrawler is going to try and hold off as long as they can, protecting this natural. He's all but sacrificing his main base, trying to buy time for those mutas, but no, TLO actually engages down the ramp and gives up the advantage that he had. And now that Pig is playing in a defensive position, he does have 10 Mutalisks on the way. That's where that supply disadvantage was at. Is the fact of the matter is he wanted to make 10 mutas. TLO is not going to be expecting this. This could be a very short game unless TLO can get out the pathogen glands, which he is working on. Can he kill off some of these drones? He absolutely needs to. He's got to go for it. Not able to seal the deal on that one. And this is not looking good for TLO. You got to remember, he's already at a drone disadvantage, 35 to 48, and was not able to do the damage he needed to. This game is very, very weird. You don't normally see stuff like this happening. Does he have Spore Crawlers? Yes, but they're too little, too late. Those drones are going to be forced to evacuate out of there. The Mutas might as well just ignore the Spore Crawler at this moment in the game. And you got to remember that that third base completely vulnerable to an attack. 4 Queens, though, running up here. They do have enough for Transfuse, but only just one, I believe, and does get it off. The Mutas are going to eventually retreat. The Spore Crawler finishing to kill off a Mutalisk or 2, but those poor drones completely undefended. The Queens moving so slowly back and forth to try and defend, and those poor drones, good night. Does look like the Queen's not able to do all that much. Plus this base down here, although there is enough for a fungal growth, does land the fungal right there. And can he chain those fungals? He wants to so badly. He does manage to. Can TLO get himself back into this game? I think the answer is yes. Queen's pretty good versus mutas. They just don't do all that much damage. Unfortunately, those Queens did stop to kill an Overlord, but really they need to be killing off these mutas. Wants to save the Infestor as best he can, and kills off yet another muta. So the supply now is going to be favoring TLO once again. But actually killing off a Spore Crawler with 2 Mutalisks, not something you see very often. The Zerglings are going to be running up here, which means that these Queens will be vulnerable. 1 Queen goes down. Here comes more Lings. The Mutalisks giving the Queens a run for their money. They are holding on as best they can. Do the Infestors have enough for Fungal? No, they don't. And he does not want to use Fungals here on these Lings, only on the Mutas. Do you want to use that? And I think that Pig has managed to do enough damage here to offset the advantage that TLO was about to have by making these mass infestors. And this third base is vulnerable, but with Spine Crawlers going down, it's only going to be vulnerable to those Mutalisks, which right now they are deciding to kill off some Overlords. But what do we see happening over at Pig's base? Well, he is transitioning now into Roaches, I believe, but he is still only on 2 bases, while TLO is technically on 3, but TLO able to get a drone lead now, 42 to 32. As these Spine Crawlers back here trying to protect those few amount of drones that do remain down there. So a very interesting game so far. I mean, quite a bit has been happening so far. Some interesting decision making by both of these players. and I'm not quite sure what to expect. Looking at the US lost here, it's fairly close, and the expansion is secured here by the Sport Crawler, and it looks like, yeah, double Sport Crawler, double Spines. I love this by TLO. He could be connecting to Creep as well. Yes, he will be. This is going to connect those two bases, making running those Queens back and forth for aerial defense much, much easier. And what's going to happen? It looks like the Infestors gearing up for Fungals. The Mutalisks are fairly well spread out. They just have got to be careful. I believe Overlord speed is done for TLO. And can he throw out a Fungal? There's a perfect opportunity, TLO. Take it, take it, take it. Oh, loses the Infestor right there as he was focused on the battle outside of his natural. But those Mutalisks proving to be more and more annoying. But I think once the Roaches get out, that the Infestors are going to be a little bit more difficult to use effectively, although he is continuing to produce some amount of Mutalisks, as he does have, how many is he up to now in all? It does look like 8 total, and the attack 1-1 on the way for Pig, only 1 armor on the way for TLO, and all he has to deal with these Mutas is Infestors. Look at this, when you split up the Mutalisks, they become increasingly difficult to fungal. Whiffs on one of the Fungals right there. These Infestors not able to finish the job yet, and you can see if you miss 1 or 2 Fungals that all of a sudden these Infestors aren't nearly as good. Misses another Fungal, so unfortunately for TLO, he is not having top Fungal control right now. That one is a little bit better, but he hasn't been able to kill off these Mutas just yet. They are down lower than half HP. And TLO, what is he going to make? He needs a robust ground army. Just making pure Infestors is not going to win him the game. Yes, it will help him defend versus the Mutas, but what do you do versus a crazy swell of Roaches? Really, what you want to do is have Roach Hydra or Roach Infestor, but we see only Infestors on the field at this point. He's still in kill Mutalisk mode, which he is being quite successful at that. The Queen's picking off those Mutas, but at some point, TLO has to realize, okay, well, I'm seeing a lot of Mutalisks, but where is the rest of the army? What is he spending his money on? Is it going to be a third base? Well, the answer is yes. He does scout it with this Overlord, but it also is a mass amount of Roaches. Now, there is a lot of Infestors on the field. Banelings can help with clumped up Roaches, but it really relies on the micro of your opponent. Really hoping that he kind of messes up that micro a little bit. The Roaches now on the creep, though, able to run up here and could try and focus down the hatchery. Are they actually going to get it here? That's the real question. He has done quite a bit of damage. Those Fungals are just atrocious this game. TLO not microing those very well whatsoever. Does look like 3 Roaches will go down. No, more reinforcements are going to save them. And you got to remember that the 1-1 nearly done. He wants to wait till that is indeed done, and it has just now finished. TLO at no upgrades, but he is about to get the armor upgrade as well as that glial reconstitution. Easy for me to say, but now it is 3 base versus 3 base, and apparently I didn't even realize he'd managed to kill that one off with a drop going on over here. TLO playing crazy. I thought he was way behind as far as the positioning, but no, he has managed to get back into this game with some Overlord drops, and I believe he's going to continue harassing with this. A big supply advantage now for TLO. He's starting to get up a lot of Infestors and a lot of Roaches, which this is not what I had expected at all. But it does look like this third base may go down. It is indeed going to get focused down almost immediately. Good by third base, so an eye for an eye right now. Trying to drop inside the main base. This is only a couple of lings, but a couple is enough to take out a Queen and all those drones if microed correctly. A big battle in this air. The Fungal's getting a little bit better here for TLO, doing the damage he needs to. You have to remember, though, that the Concave is way better for Pig. Both Fungals on the entire army, plus the Infested Terrans are going to annihilate this, as Infested Terrans are so good. Their DPS is just so high. They do cost a lot of energy when you throw out that many. But now the supply advantage is very large for TLO. He may take this series 2-0, and it does look like Pig now forced to retreat. Does once again going to lose this third base right there. And I do apologize for missing that drop. I will go back and try and see exactly when that happened. But at this point in the game, I think this is going to be it. A lot of Infested Terrans here means that this third base is going to fall for sure. Looks like he's going to do a Roach drop in the main base, and these Overlords right here just kind of checking it out, pretending to be the enemy. And down goes that drop. Does look like this will be a 2-0 victory for TLO. And I gotta say, he absolutely earned it. I thought he was in trouble after whiffing a couple of those Fungals. But at the end of the day, you gotta remember that Fungals cost energy while Mutas cost money. And there's going to be the GG. Well played, as Liquid TLO going to once again take a series in a very decisive manner. So awesome. In game number 1, he used Nice Worms. In game number 2, he used Overlord drops. Oh, I promised I would go back, try and watch that drop that I originally missed. So there's the third base right here, going down for our ZvZ player. We've already seen most everything else on the map, so I'm kind of curious exactly when this happened. I believe you can see it down in the bottom left side. You can see those dots moving out very, very quickly. Well, they're at ×8, so I would imagine it would be very quickly. About as fast as an Overlord is allowed to go in StarCraft 2. And yep, during this, he drops them on the high ground and then runs them down, is going to take out this expansion, and there's really not a whole lot that Pig can do about it. Or maybe he doesn't realize this is happening. That is a possibility as well. And yeah, boom goes the hatchery at too little, too late by Pig to be able to save that, and he realizes it, so he just turns around, loads up the Overlord immediately, even saves some of the Lings right there. And then that's when I would say TLO just got way, way ahead, because his third base had been established for quite a while at this point, so even when he ended up losing that, it wasn't even all that big of a deal. But I do love the fact that TLO is actually managing to make ZvZ even more mobile in this matchup, which is something that a lot of players, I would say, have not been doing correctly. Down goes a lot of those drones, and that is going to be it for this game. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Once again, this is from the One Nation of Gamers, an awesome, awesome series of Barcrafts who come together to raise money for esports. It's all for the love of esports, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. I also just realized that Zerglings have the biggest butt chin ever. Like, that is one bony butt chin, but that cannot be unseen, man.